Welcome to the debate. There is this incredibly haunting image at the center of OHenry's classic story, The Last Leaf. It is one of those images that it never quite leaves you once you read it.
Oh, absolutely. It really sticks with you.
Right. So picture this. A bitter, freezing storm is just tearing through the streets of New York. And inside this very cold, drafty apartment, a young woman named Johnsy is dying of pneumonia.
And she has tied her entire fate to this fragile ivy vine right outside her window.
Exactly. She is totally convinced that when the violent wind strips the very last leaf from that brick wall, her own life is going to end right along with it.
It is just such a desperate, chilling setup.
It really is. But then an aging, destitute painter named Behrman walks out into that icy rain. He paints a single, permanent yellow leaf on the wall. He basically trades his own life to the storm, just so she might wake up, see the leaf clinging to the brick, and find the will to survive.
It is a profoundly moving narrative, for sure.
Yeah, but today we are looking past the tragedy to examine the philosophical collision right at its core. We want to know, what is the fundamental nature of this masterpiece?
Right, the core question of what art actually serves.
Exactly. Is the purpose of art simply to be beautiful, or must art serve and save human life? Is it art for life's sake? I am arguing yes. The value of Behrman's painted leaf does not come from the paint on the brick. It comes from the heavy weight of the human sacrifice that anchors it.
And I take a contrasting, maybe slightly more analytical view. I mean, while his sacrifice is undeniably moving, I think the moral romance of the act completely obscures the actual mechanics of why the painting works.
Wait, the mechanics?
Yeah, the mechanics. The painting saves Johnsy not because it is an act of deep care, but because it is an absolute perfect fake. Art's real power in this story is its ability to create a flawless illusion that totally replaces a harsh physical truth. The leaf is a masterpiece precisely because it successfully lies to her.
I mean, I hear what you are saying, but framing this as just a successful lie fundamentally cheapens what happens in that freezing courtyard.
How so?
Well, we aren't talking about some cheap parlor trick here. We are talking about raw courage. Think about Leo Tolstoy or Mahatma Gandhi. They argued that true art is a shared feeling of pure love. It is not about fame or technical perfection.
Right. It is about the human connection.
Exactly. It is an act of deep existential care. Look at it through the eyes of someone like Jean-Paul Sartre. Behrman feels like a failure his whole entire life, but in that freezing rain, he finally creates his meaning through one brave, deadly choice.
I acknowledge the sacrifice. I really do.
But the art is great because of that moral sacrifice. Think of a lifeboat deployed in a freezing ocean. We do not evaluate a lifeboat by the smoothness of its paint job, do we? We evaluate it entirely by the human life it pulls from the icy water. In this story, art is that lifeboat.
Your lifeboat analogy is great, but it misses a really crucial distinction about how this specific rescue actually functions.
What distinction?
Well, a person drowning in the ocean knows they are getting into a lifeboat, right? They are totally aware of the help. Johnsy has absolutely no idea she is looking at a painting.
Well, sure. She thinks it is real.
Exactly. And that is where my argument lies. If she looks out the window and perceives an old man's desperate, tragic final act, the illusion shatters, and she likely dies. She only lives because the fake leaf perfectly mimics biology. It took extreme skill to trick her eye.
But doesn't the intent matter more than the trick?
Not in this case. Think about Jean Baudrillard. Johnsy is trapped by a deadly thought. Behrman manufactures a simulation, a fake that feels more real than truth. The actual leaves die and fall. The artificial leaf beats nature, and it becomes her new reality.
I see the mechanical logic there, I do. But simulation implies this cold detachment that just ignores the beating heart of the story. Let me ask you a hypothetical question.
Okay, go for it.
Imagine a scenario where a machine, like an automated drone, rolls into that courtyard in the middle of the night. It is programmed to spray the exact same perfect leaf onto the wall.
A drone?
Yeah. It tricks her eye just as effectively. She wakes up, sees the paint, and she decides to live. Is that machine-generated paint a masterpiece? Because I would argue it is entirely hollow.
Hollow?
Yes, it is nothing but an optical trick. What elevates Behrman's leaf to the status of a masterpiece is the blood and sweat behind it. The art isn't the fake leaf itself. The art is the empathy.
But you are assuming the value of the art exists in a vacuum. To Johnsy, the drone's leaf and Behrman's leaf are functionally identical.
Identical, come on.
They are. They both keep her heart beating, and this brings us to exactly how art operates as a tool for control. Michel Foucault argued that we live inside stories. Johnsy lived inside a story of death.
Right. She built a dark prison for herself.
Yes. And Behrman doesn't sit by her bed and reason with her. He forcefully edits the physical environment to hijack her narrative. It is a total takeover of her reality. Art controls what she believes is real.
You use words like hijack and takeover as if he is doing something evil, but look at how it actually heals her soul.
It heals her by deceiving her.
But it acts as a gentle medicine. Aristotle talked about catharsis, a healing of the heart. When she sees that leaf, she doesn't just mechanically keep breathing. She experiences a profound moral awakening.
She does say it is a sin to want to die.
Exactly. It freed her mind from despair. That doesn't happen just because she was successfully lied to. It happens because the art connected her back to the warmth of life.
I mean, yes, it shattered her despair, but we have to grapple with the discomfort of how it did that. It did it by fundamentally deceiving her.
I don't see it as a malicious deception, though.
Maybe not malicious, but dangerous. We love to demand that art holds a mirror up to reality, but this story suggests that sometimes the cold truth is fatal. If art only served the truth, she would have died in the storm.
So you think the magic is just the blur between truth and fiction?
Absolutely. The artificial actively defeats nature. The masterpiece is a fabricated reality that successfully holds the terrifying truth at bay.
Is it really a fabrication, though? I mean, let's look deeper at what is actually painted on that wall.
It's yellow paint. It's not a real leaf.
True, the physical plant was gone. But the leaf Behrman painted represented the very real human endurance and love in that building. He translated his own fierce defiance of the freezing wind onto that brick canvas.
So the medium is an illusion, but the message is real.
Exactly. When Johnsy looked out the window, she didn't just absorb a visual lie. She absorbed his actual transferred courage. The medium was an illusion, but the message was the deepest truth possible.
But, that message was only received because the medium was flawless. If his hands had shaken too much from the cold, the illusion would have broken.
Well, yes, he had to be skilled.
But that is the incredible tension here. The immense power of the artist isn't just their capacity to feel deeply. It is their technical ability to construct a secondary world so compelling that it literally overrides human biology.
Wow, we have really walked deeply into the heart of this storm today. I think the fault lines of our perspectives are pretty clear.
Definitely.
For me, OHenry's story ultimately proves that the best art is a gift of human love. It is a lifeboat. It is the profound sacrifice of one person reaching through the dark to keep another breathing.
And my perspective remains that the story exposes art as a shocking force. It replaces the real world with a better, human-made world.
Yet, despite our different angles, we are completely united on one beautiful fact.
What is that?
This story demonstrates that art is never just a pretty thing to hang quietly on a wall. It is an action that changes the world.
It truly is. It reveals that the boundary between a painted canvas and a beating heart is extraordinarily thin.
It is so thin. So take a moment to look at the architecture of your own life today. Look at the art and the stories you surround yourself with.
It really makes you wonder.
It does. It makes you wonder which painted leaves are keeping you alive.